in Vancouver today. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. Welcome to our Pathway webinar series with Seneca College once again. And we have Alfredo here with us. Thank you for joining us, Alfredo. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Elias. How are you doing?
Good. It's a beautiful day out today, and you can see the sun's reflecting in my face, so I didn't shut the covered screen, so it's blind, so everything's really good. So today we're going to talk about once again Seneca's programs, admission requirements, and I believe you have some news for us from Seneca. So we'll get the latest updates from you.
Yeah.
But before we do that, let's get to know you once again for our audience.
So hi, everybody. My name is Alfredo, as Elias mentioned. I've been working with Seneca College for over 2 years now in their recruitment team. I'm originally from Venezuela, and I've been in Canada for about 12 years. So like many of you, I was an international student at one point in my life, and I went through all of the motions to kind of be able to stay here in Canada. So if you have any questions about that, I'm also happy to talk about that experience.
Great. I'm sure, you can connect with a lot of students and tell stories, from your own success story here in Canada. So that is great. I also came here as an immigrant almost 17 years ago, and I went through all the stages of education, from high school to college to university, and even like post-grad certification. So if students have any questions, we can always refer back to our own experiences as well.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great. I believe you have a presentation for us.
I do.
Let's get started with that. And then if I have any questions, I may interrupt you from time to time, and we can leave the end for a quick Q&A as well.
Perfect. Sounds good. So as Elias mentioned, and I also mentioned, I represent Seneca College of Applied Arts and Technology. We are a public institution accredited by the province of Ontario. We are one of the largest colleges, not only in the province, but in all of Canada. And in fact, we're actually the largest business college in all of the country. Our focus is really around preparing our students for the labor market. So that's why you'll see that a lot of our programs are driven by market need. They will include co-op components or field placements or internships. So we really focus on that job preparation aspect for our students. Like I said, we're a fairly large college. So right now we have about 30,000 full-time students. And I would say about a third of those, or about 9,000, are international students. I think right now, even with COVID-19, we've become the #1 international college in Ontario right now in terms of the number of international students that are enrolled taking classes with us.
Wow.
Since we have such a large student body, we have to have the facilities to be able to host them. So we have 5 main campuses all over the GTA. That is where all of our international students are going to find the programs that are available to them. And that's a really important piece. So you will look at our website and see that Seneca offers a wide variety of programs, over 300 full-time and part-time programs, but there's only about 150 or so that are going to be open to international students. And this is due to some capacity limitations, as well as some regulation from the government that doesn't allow some programs to be open for non-Canadians. And a little bit later, we'll get into a little bit more detail about what those programs are. But I think one of the really great points about us as an institution is the fact that we are located in Toronto. It is the most, urban center in Canada. You could call it Canada's downtown. It's the economic epicenter. It really is a place where a lot of global events come to Canada, and they come to Toronto specifically. So for somebody really looking for that multicultural, cosmopolitan experience of a large city in Canada, Toronto is really a great place to be. And of course, for many of our students that do come to us with the objective of preparing themselves for the labor market and to stay in Canada, Toronto is the best place to be in terms of job opportunities. And I think when we look at what's happening with COVID-19 and the areas in which we expect that there's going to be growth and opportunities for the labor market, all of our programs are positioned to really get our students ahead of the curve. We have a lot of programs in business, change management, computer programming. These are all kind of areas, project management. These are all areas that have been identified as kind of growth areas and where we'll need more folks to be certified and working in. So that's something that you'll notice in our programs that kind of match that expected need. A question that I get a lot is, what is the difference between a college and a university, and why should we choose one or the other? And I think there's some key differences, especially for our international students to know, in order to make a decision as to what is the best fit for them. I think, at a, let's call it philosophical level, colleges are more focused on the job preparation aspect, whereas universities are more around academia and research. On a more practical level, when you look at the types of programs that we offer a wider variety of programs, from 2- and 3-year undergraduate programs, as well as 1-year graduate programs, where universities don't do that. And of course, the cost per year at a college for a bachelor's degree with us, for example, is about $18,000 to $20,000 a year. A similar bachelor's degree at U of T, UBC, McGill, et cetera, would cost you easily double that amount. And so these are opportunities that students have identified as a way to be able to get a great education in Canada without having to pay such a high premium just because you're attending a university. And one of the great positives or benefits of Seneca is that if your ultimate goal is to go to the UBCs or U of Ts of Canada, you can certainly do that through one of our many transfer and pathway agreements that we have with Canadian institutions as well as institutions abroad. So we actually do have a number of students that come to Seneca, take a 2- or 3-year program, and then continue on to a different institution to finish a bachelor's degree, for example. So that's also a great option for anybody who's kind of looking at other potential institutions in addition to Seneca. I think, if we really summarize everything that I mentioned so far, there's some really clear points as to why a college might be a better option for a student. I think something that often we don't realize, especially for students that are coming from high school, where perhaps you've had the same classmates for the last 10 years or so, and you have a classroom of, say, maybe 40 classmates, the transition from that into a university can be quite shocking. When I came to Canada, I went to UBC myself, and I went from having a classroom of 25 students in high school to auditoriums of 400 or 500 people. And so it was quite overwhelming, not the easiest to make friends in that scenario, and not the easiest to raise your hand and ask a question if you have a question during class. So for us at Seneca, it's really important to make sure that we make the large feel small. So that's why most of our classroom sizes will not be more than 40 students. We make sure that our professors really put in the work to create that relationship with students, especially because we want to make sure that for all of our students, they already have that first connection into their industry. So what you'll find often at Seneca is that the person at the front of the room teaching a class is also working in their industry. So they have a lot of insight about what's going on right now and what are some of the challenges and opportunities. And that's a really great plus for our students. And of course, for any of our students that are looking that path towards permanent residence, we represent kind of a surefire and relatively short way to get to that point of permanent residence compared to a university. I think if we take the example of what I did, I went to university, and the year that I started, somebody else who started at the same time at a college, within a couple of years, they would have graduated, obtained their post-graduation work permit, and eventually put themselves on the path towards residence, and likely have been a citizen for quite some time now, when only very recently I was able to complete that final step of my process. At the end of the day, I think it's important for students to choose which type of institution best suits them. But I think a big reason why we have seen such a big influx of students coming to our college is not just, of course, the high quality of our programs, is that we're offering that shorter path towards permanent residence that a lot of our students want. Now, I've been doing a lot of talking, so I want to give a chance to one of our students to speak a little bit about her experience. So I'm actually going to ask if we can show the video that we have prompted for right now.
Sure. Jim will do that for us right now.
Wonderful.
and has a lot of fun activities and events that I can join. And the diversity in Toronto is really amazing. You can eat a lot of food from different countries. When I went to the open house of Seneca, I fell in love since then. My Vietnamese community in Seneca is really big too. They have a lot of activities and events that I can participate. As an international student, studying abroad is a good experience, but also very hard. Being homesick, I think many people have experienced it. Speaking with a counselor can help. Seneca was really fast on responding to the pandemic. They gave us a whole week to rest and then gave us another week to get used to the online classroom. Seneca has been helping us on not getting bored at home with the virtual workshops and fun activities. Also, Seneca is a very diverse college. You can literally meet every person in every country. I believe you can also find your country's community. So I chose Seneca.
All right. So that was one of our students, just a quick testimonial. As you can probably tell, we actually recorded that in the middle of the pandemic. So it's always great to see that our students, despite the fact that we can't kind of build community in person, are still building that community online. A little bit later, I'll actually talk about some updates regarding COVID-19. But before we get into that, I did want to take some time to talk a little bit more in detail about some of our programs. So as I mentioned, we have over 150 programs that are open to international students. So we wouldn't have enough time to really go in detail with each of them. But I do want to kind of frame it a little bit for you to be able to organize your thoughts a little bit better as you're researching what are your options with us. So at Seneca, you will find that there's kind of 4 main types of programs that you can access as a prospective student, in addition to kind of our certificate programs that are just 1-year short programs, kind of like a preparatory course. So really our higher education programs that set our students up for success and to be able to obtain their post-graduation work permit are our diplomas and advanced diplomas, which are 2-year and 3-year programs. These are quite popular among our international students because for these programs, you do not require to have any specific experience in a particular field in order to apply. That means if you want to apply for a computer programming course, you do not need to have any experience in computer programming. That's why these programs are open to anybody that has graduated high school successfully, who are seeking to prepare themselves for the Canadian job market, to get some specialized training, and doing so in a shorter period of time than it would be with a bachelor's degree. So for any of these programs, you're looking at an annual cost approximately of about 15,000 to 17,000 Canadian dollars. That will include tuition for the program, ancillary fees, and health insurance during that time. Of course, right now, because we are doing our programs online, some of the ancillary fees and the health insurance fees, of course, have been prorated or completely reduced for students that are not in Canada or accessing those facilities. So that's something that we already have reflected on our website, and we're ensuring that what students are paying for is really going towards their program of study, and there's nothing in addition that they're paying for that they're not really accessing at this time.
They pay this tuition fee in 2 installments, like every semester?
Yeah, so that is our preference. Students can, of course, pay a full year in advance. But usually what we do is that once the student receives their letter of admission, that letter comes accompanied by their fee statement that includes tuition for the first semester. It includes ancillary fees for the first year and health insurance for the first year as well. So once the student pays that, they've confirmed their seat with us. If, let's take an example, this is an offer for September this year. If come September, we continue to be online, whatever the student has paid for health insurance and for ancillary fees that will not apply for them because they will continue to be online, that will be credited for semester 2, starting next year. And then the student will have a specific deadline that will be communicated to them during their first term, by which they have to pay for that second semester in order to be able to register their courses.
I have a question here, since we're talking about the fees and everything, and PGWP you showed us on the previous slide. Katrina is asking if online learning affect the PGWP eligibility.
That's a great question. So right now, we have the latest information that we have from Immigration Canada is that students taking an online program, post-secondary program with a public institution from their home country up until April 2021, that will not affect eligibility for the post-graduation work permit in the future. Now, we are still waiting to hear back from IRCC whether or not they're going to extend that flexibility past April 2021. And that's something that I was going to mention later as well, because one of the things that Seneca has decided is to keep their programs online all the way through the summer until the end of August. So what we are waiting for is for the government to kind of follow suit and allow our students to take those programs online as of May this year without affecting their eligibility in the future.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Now, the other types of programs that we have, as I mentioned, we have the bachelor's degrees and our graduate programs. Now, bachelor's degrees are typically programs that before were only offered at universities, but as of a few years, our colleges have been allowed to confer bachelor's degrees as well. So it's not our main focus, and that's why you'll see that we only have 18 programs under this category. Now, because these are more traditional programs, typically we look at high school students applying directly after graduation, or even university students that are maybe in their first or second semester of university back home, and they're just wanting to come to Canada and do their studies here. Now, a couple of things to note with these programs, as you can see, the annual cost is a little bit higher compared to the other programs. So some of our students will choose, for example, to do the first 2 years of a diploma program and then transfer those credits into a bachelor program. So that means that during those first 2 years, you're paying a lower tuition rate. And that's pretty common, for example, with our business programs. We have lots of business diploma students that then later get into our bachelor program. The other thing to note is that our bachelor programs have mandatory co-op components. So we make sure that every single one of our bachelor graduates has had a real-world hands-on experience before they graduate, which is a little bit different from the rest of our programs where it's an optional component. So we recommend students will take the co-op option, but it's up to the student to decide in those cases. And now when we look at our graduate certificates, these are really catered towards people who already have a bachelor's degree, who have been working for some time in their field, and they're looking to upgrade their skills. So what we do ask for here is that you are a university graduate, and ideally, you would have 2 to 5 years of experience in that subject area. So what that means for you in terms of the application is that we would like to see a resume or a curriculum included in the application as an additional document, because that will really help admissions see that you have that previous experience in that field and give you a competitive edge against somebody who did not submit their resume. So that's not a fixed requirement to apply, but it's definitely a big plus to include your resume when you're applying for this type of program. The other thing that I wanted to mention about our graduate programs is that as of September this year, we're going to be launching 2 new programs. One is called on Global Business Management and the other one on Business Technology Management, which will be 2-year programs. So many of our students that look for graduate certificates are often worried that if they combine 2 1-year programs, that will not be enough to get their 3-year post-graduation work permit. And that's something that a lot of our students currently do. We have lots of students that graduate from 2 programs, one after the other, and with that, they're later able to get their 3-year work permit. But now with this new, these 2 new programs that are already 2 years, these students won't even need to change programs after 1 year to obtain that 3-year work permit. So this is another great option for anybody who is interested in this type of program and wants that 2-year study minimum so they can reach that 3-year work permit later. Now, again, these programs are all about $15,000 to $17,000 Canadian. So really the difference between a 2-year diploma or a 2-year graduate certificate or a combination of 2 graduate certificates of 1 year each is really just the profile that the student has and what they want to study. If you are already a professional, you have work experience, I really recommend that a student goes for a graduate program. I think it would be a best fit for them. But if not, then a 2-year diploma is also a great fit for students that want to kind of restart their career in a new field as well.
And Alfredo, correct me if I'm wrong. I think last time you mentioned you were going to issue LOAs for the 2 programs at the same time. So
that's right.
So right, they won't have to extend their study permits when they arrive.
So as of late last year, when if we have students that are interested in applying to 2 graduate programs that are 1 year each, we are now allowing that on our application. So the student can, what we're calling a bundle, they can create a bundle of 2 graduate programs, and the admission that we would give them would be for both programs ahead of time. So that means that the student will get a letter with admission to both programs with 1 year of separation. And that means that they will be able to apply for a 2-year study permit. So there's no extension later on. There's no applying to a second program while you're in Canada with us. So it really it makes it a lot smoother for our students to be able to get their permits with no problem.
And in between the programs, let's say if they start in September and they finish end of April, let's say, semesters, they can work for the whole summer until full time until they start their new program.
Absolutely, and many of our graduate certificates also have the co-op option. So some students will choose to have that break be a co-op component, which means they're working full time, they're earning a salary during that time, and it's related to their studies. Okay,
there's one more question.
Great.
Regarding the English proficiency in mission requirements.
Yeah.
Katrina is asking if she can apply to Seneca without an IELTS score. Has this changed due to COVID-19? And then what's the deadline to apply to a diploma program?
Great question. If you give me a couple of minutes, we'll get to that in a moment, actually. I just wanted to quickly also point out in terms of our programs, a question that I get a lot from students is, what are your most popular programs, and which are the programs that I can be sure I'm going to have job opportunities in the future? So we've done an analysis on those 2 questions, and I've identified an intersection of those programs, and we've opened additional sections in one of our campuses that are now dedicated only for international students. So all of these programs that you see on screen are programs that we have offered for years, but we always fill them up, and we're not able to offer as many spots as we would like to. So what we did is we realized that we do have the kind of logistical and human resources capacity to offer more sections. We've refurbished and renovated a whole campus just for our international students. And we are now offering these programs, which are all Seneca programs, with additional seats for students. So this is a great list for somebody who is really keen on choosing a program that is in high demand in the labor market. All of these programs right now are in very, very high demand. Now, to answer your question about admission requirements, and I'll jump into that. So in terms of English requirements, we accept a number of different English certifications in order to apply, and which are all on screen. Depending on the type of program that you're applying for, the minimum score will vary. We are accepting IELTS Academic and TOEFL still, though I know that can be complicated for some students because not all testing centers are open. So since the pandemic, we've started accepting the Duolingo test of English, which honestly has become a very popular choice among our students because it's a test that you can take from home. The cost is quite accessible at $49 US, and the test results arrive fairly quickly to the student right after they take the test. Now, one of the main reasons why we're here today is also to talk about the partnership that we have with Sprott Language College. So we actually do have a partnership agreement with Sprott that allows students of the post-secondary education program, EPE program, to get apply for a conditional admission to our 2-year and 3-year diploma programs. So that means that if you're currently in this program and you're interested in any of these 2-year or 3-year programs at Seneca, with your pathway letter, you can apply to Seneca to obtain a conditional admission. And once you finalize the pathway with Sprott, then we can remove the condition of that offer, and you would enter into your post-secondary program with no other additional requirements. Now, that is a little bit different when it comes to our bachelor's degrees or graduate certificate programs. Our agreement requires that our students coming out of Sprott Shaw would have to do our level 8 of our own English program. But what I will also say is that if there's anybody who's considering a graduate program or a bachelor's degree, and they're about to finish their pathway program, feel free to get in touch with me, or of course through the advisors at Sprott Shaw, and we can discuss about each particular case to see if through admissions we can accept the current certificate or the current level of English that you have for an offer into our graduate or bachelor's degree programs. So really it will depend on each case, and we'll treat each on a case-by-case basis, but we are doing our very best to accommodate students as best we can. We just want to make sure that they will have the level of English that will put them on the track for success in their program ultimately.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're not at the required level, of course, you can come to SSLC and even start with ESL. If you are, let's say, intermediate level speaker or even beginner, you can start with SSLC and then move your way up to our EP program, which is our pathway program, where then you can apply to Seneca and receive admission into their diploma or advanced diploma programs. And as Alfredo mentioned, if you're looking into studying more advanced programs like the postgrad programs or bachelor's degrees, we can also talk to Alfredo about it and see our options and check out our options. And Katrina just asked how much our pathway program costs. Jem can share our websites. He actually did. You can contact us. And then because we have promotions going on throughout the year, depending on the region, usually. So you can get in touch with us or with me, and then we'll be able to share all the details with you.
Great.
Okay. Anything else you want to add about?
Yeah. So what I just wanted to add, in addition, of course, to our English proficiency requirement, you're going to have students will need to provide some documentation to back up their current level of education. So for our diploma, advanced diploma, and bachelor's degrees, as I mentioned earlier, you don't need to have prior experience in that field. Like the example that I use, if you want to go into computer programming, you don't have to have any experience prior to that. We assume that you're coming to the program to learn. So what we're asking for is that you at least provide high school diploma and high school transcript. And if it comes in a language other than English, it'll have to come accompanied by a certified English translation. So that means that, for example, if somebody who is listening who has a bachelor's degree and is interested in a diploma, they can certainly still apply for that type of program. They far exceed the requirements because the minimum that we're asking for is the high school documents. Now, obviously, I know that there's some students that have graduated high school some time ago now, and they don't have those documents with them, but they do have their documents from university. So if you submit university level documents when you're applying for a diploma program, for example, we can certainly accept those because we can assume that if a student went to university, they have already graduated high school as well. If admissions needs any additional documents, then admissions will be in touch with the student asking for those documents. But the important thing is to always include the highest level of education you've achieved to date with your documents, because that will give admissions the best idea or picture of where you're at in terms of your academic level.
And how long does this process take?
So right now we have a processing time of about 2 weeks. If it goes beyond 2 weeks, I highly encourage anyone to get in touch with us to follow up on your application, because right now, really, most applications are being answered within that time frame. The ones that may take a little bit longer are some of our creative arts programs. So those are the ones that require perhaps a portfolio or an audition of types. So because there's that additional step, the process may take a little bit longer, but usually will not exceed a month.
Okay. And how much do students pay to apply to Seneca?
Fantastic question. So our application is 100% online, and it usually has a cost of 90 Canadian dollars. Now, one of the positives about our application is that you can include up to 3 programs of choice that the student is interested in. So that means that we will evaluate the application for all 3 programs, and the student may receive more than one offer. So that means that at that point, once the student receives multiple offers, they get to decide which one they want to ultimately take. And then that's when they receive their offer, their official offer of admission. Now, something that we're offering through our pathway partners is our fee waiver code. So for anybody that reaches out after this webinar, either through Sprout Shaw or directly to me, we're happy to provide a fee waiver code so that the application is completely free.
So yeah, if you're planning to apply to Seneca through SSLC, through our pathway, you won't have to do anything. We'll take care of it, and Alfreda is waiving the application fee as well. So it's going to be free for you. And when is the next intake for you?
So our next intake is going to be May 16th this year.
Okay.
We already have a large portion of our programs for that intake full. So if there's anybody considering Seneca for the summer, really now is the time to start looking into it and making some decisions and apply.
Mm-hmm.
For September, we already also have a number of programs, our most popular programs, starting to close down and being filled up. So also if you're looking at a potential program for September, that's something to also start looking at immediately. And then as of the first week of March, we're going to open up our intake applications for January 2022. So for anybody listening that likes to plan ahead, that's something that you can prepare for in the next few weeks to apply as soon as those applications open up.
Okay, so you're basically saying apply as early as possible.
Exactly. I think, we have been a little bit surprised to see that a lot of our programs for May are completely full, especially because we are still waiting for that confirmation from IRCC about the flexibility of their regulation. But what that really tells me is that students are still very keen. They're excited. They want to start their programs. So that means that people are not slowing down their plans. And so nobody should be putting their plans on pause, because we're continuing on with our admissions process and trying to fill our programs.
Great. It's good. And we are also, our registration is also picking up, and we are already seeing students entering Canada. I just had my student from Turkey arriving last week, and I have students arriving to Toronto this month. Mm-hmm. So it's really encouraging to see our students traveling again and coming here and studying with us and with our pathway partners. So that's great.
I think just to share quickly an update that we got today related to COVID-19. Okay. Last time that we spoke, Elias, I announced that we were going to be going online for the summer. That was the unofficial announcement, but now it's officially on our website. Okay. So right now we've updated our COVID-19 information website with the list of programs that are going to be offered in the summer and what format they're going to be offered. Mm-hmm. But also it's important for our prospective students to know that last week the Canadian government implemented some new measures that are going to be in effect sometime this month, asking folks who are arriving in Canada to quarantine for about 3 days at government-sanctioned hotels for a cost of about $2,000. And what we've been told so far from the college leadership is that Seneca is going to put in place basically support to cover up to 50% of our students' expenses in that quarantine period. So still more information to come on that, but that's just another effort that we've done to support our students during this time, in addition to the COVID relief fund that we've offered in last year and even in this past term for students that have lost their jobs during this time. So, keep your eyes peeled on our website for more information on that. For anybody who's planning on traveling to Canada to join our programs, we are going to do our very best to support you in that process.
Yes, and once we hear more about this new regulation, we'll probably have a special webinar, which we usually do when government announces something new. But hopefully it won't affect our students, but we don't know that yet.
Exactly.
So we're just keeping an eye on the news, and so probably this week or next week we'll see the details. The website is stating that there are limited exceptions to this new regulation, so we'll see. Hopefully our students will be exempted, but we don't know that yet, so we'll find out. Everybody's, all our partners, our agents, our students, they kept asking me this week about this new regulation, and we basically don't have much information. So as soon as we hear something, we'll let everyone know through our webinar setting here.
Absolutely.
All right, I guess we're done for the day, right?
Unless anybody has any final questions that they want to send off on the last few minutes. But if not, I'm more than happy to also be in touch over email. And I'm sure we'll do more of these sessions once we hear more from the government as well.
I think we had one more testimonial to share.
Oh, yes, that would be great.
If Jem can show that quickly as well, because they help a lot, and they're real stories. Your students, it's always good to hear from them. Good to hear these testimonials. So if we can share that as well, we can wrap it up, and then I'll probably see you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you, Elias.
Okay.
I've been in Canada for 2 years and 6 months. I love Toronto because Toronto people are so nice and friendly. They know that everyone is different, and then I love that. The thing I like the most about Seneca is that they're always welcoming, and also their support system is really nice. The service which was available to me was International Student Service Center. I went there when I had any question about Canadian life, and then they always open to me. Seneca has provided a core program, and it helped me a lot because I didn't have any experience in the tourism industry. I learned how to negotiate to people, how to talk in different departments people. Seneca has provided support to students during the pandemic. I actually applied to the relief fund because I lost the job due to COVID-19. It helped me a lot mentally because I didn't have anyone in Canada, but Seneca was the first organization which helped me. Seneca is open for everyone.
Okay, that was great. Hearing from your Japanese student. We do get a lot of Japanese students into our campuses as well, so it's great. We'll definitely show this. They'll watch it for sure. Our Japanese advisors always, when there's a testimonial from our partners, they always provide it to their students. So it's good to have it.
Definitely, and I'll invite everybody to check out our social media channels where you'll be seeing those testimonials and more posted throughout the next few months. So you'll be hearing a lot from our students.
Great. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's webinar, and once again, thank you, Alfredo, for coming today and presenting Seneca College. So we continue our webinar series with our partners, and we'll have more in the upcoming weeks. Please follow our website, our social media platforms, our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We are everywhere. So, if you have any questions, you can always contact us, our advisors, myself, our marketers. We do speak your language. So don't be shy. You can just go onto our website. You can even type in your own language, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you have any questions regarding Seneca, please do let me know, and I can connect you with Alfredo right away, and we can find the best program for you, and then we can go from there. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you guys next week again. And thanks, Alfredo. Take care.